It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show.
Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 527. Tonight I'm joined by Ammo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
Hello.
Grace.
Hello.
Kodra.
Hello.
Tam.
Hello.
And Thalen.
It is by will alone that I set my mind in motion.
Are you also living the Mentat life?
Oh, absolutely. There was no question. Like, even before I knew anything about what a Mentat did, of course I was going to be a Mentat.
I am a Mentat because one of them says it's a tactician. And, like, if you tell me I can play a tactician, I will play it.
I feel like we talked about this, I think, last week, but I feel like Mentat is a pretty well-rounded skill set.
I mean, you start with a turret, and that turret
Yeah, that helps a lot.
is immensely helpful.
The awkward thing is, I'm, like, today years old when I figured out how the turret works.
Oh, that it's basically a grenade that turns into a turret?
Yeah, well, it says, do you want to detonate the turret? And I'm like, no, because I want to use the turret. And it's like, okay, then you don't click the detonate turret button. I was like, yes, I don't want to detonate the turret. Detonating the turret's how you deploy a turret.
Yes.
You have to
Which
hit the button
confused
twice.
me. Which confused me as well, because like I'm used to the turret from the Division, and detonating it is basically recycling it.
Yeah.
That was my initial assumption, was I toss the turret, and then I have the option to detonate it, and maybe it does damage to things that are close to it when that happens. I don't know.
That makes
But no.
sense.
That is how turrets work in a lot of other games, including Guild Wars.
Anyway,
Yeah, no, I've got my turret, and now I've got my Shiga wire, and life is good.
The Shiga wire is incredible.
the Shiga wire plus being able to float on a suspensor, you could basically just like fly to the top of cliffs.
No, getting up high enough to launch a survey probe in the first zone was a giant pain. And
Also,
in the second zone, I had my Shiga wire.
I really need to talk about that because I was able to get up. The problem is, how do you get down?
Grab onto the cliff as you fall.
How?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
So
Press up against it.
Do you have basically a suspensor pack yet?
No.
Having a floaty belt helps a lot.
Okay, I don't remember like one of the places in the first little zone area will have a unique pattern to craft a really good suspensor belt.
Yeah, the Emperor's wings
that allow you to hover down. And how you do it is you just jump off the side and hold onto that and touch rock face anytime you need to recharge your pack and do it. Just kind of hop your way down.
But yeah, if you don't have a suspensor belt, you're going to have trouble getting back down.
Anyways, I did the mission to do the probe, and I am gonna wait until I get better tools to do it again. But I'm still in the first zone.
Did you ever get a guild invite? Because in theory, you should have multiple bases you can duck into.
I think so.
Okay.
I think I need to set my newest base to open to the guild now that I think about it.
Check if I have a guild invite anyways in this game.
Press O. Social.
I did have a guild invite. I hadn't accepted it.
You probably also have some friend invites you haven't accepted.
I don't, but I can probably do something about that.
Maybe they time out. But yeah, my current base that I'm using is directly south of the anvil, so I'll make sure that that's open up to people, because that'll probably be useful to you.
I gotta say, the experience of playing this on a private server and not a public server is immensely positive.
You don't want to get slammed in the face by a vertibird?
That's not even, I mean, no, but also that's not even like, that's not even the dumb thing. It's just like people building their bases in ways that like unintentionally that block like major passage routes just is not a thing I have to deal with.
Yeah, like I've also heard people on public servers are griefing other players by dropping down off their ornithopter using the sand compactor to summon a worm, getting back on the ornithopter and flying away as someone's trying to cross the sand.
Are
Good
you telling
grief.
me that people are griefers in public video games? What?
Yeah.
What a shock. No, I'm so glad that they gave us the private server option from the get-go. I'm pretty sure I would not be playing this game otherwise.
Oh yeah, no question.
The environment is sufficiently dangerous without other people making it harder.
Sandworms are in fact scary.
Yeah.
I haven't actually gotten eaten by one yet, but I've come real close.
Every time one pops when I'm crossing a decent distance, it cranks the adrenaline.
Uh-huh.
It was worse when I was having to do it by foot.
I have been eaten twice, and I have got news for you. It has been brutal both times.
Yeah, because you lose everything, right?
Everything that was on you. It is the only way. It and dying to that, and I think it's either quicksand or sandstorms. I forget
It's
which.
like quicksand, yeah.
Are the only ways that you can lose your actual permanent inventory.
Yeah, that sounds
And,
awful.
oof.
So what's the deal with drum sand? Is it just that it summons worms faster?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
a lot faster.
Like
Also,
I've driven over it, and it's very obvious that I get why they're calling it drum sand, but yeah, I've not had a worm pop while I was doing it.
Also, when they say that suspensors and shields summon the worm faster, they are not kidding. Worm hates that shit.
I usually unequip them just in case when I'm going across the sand.
Yeah, I think they have to be actively in use for it to be a problem. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was a little worried. Is so do I need to not be wearing a suspensor at all? Is this going to be a problem?
No, just don't use it.
Yeah.
One of my worm deaths was I'm gonna quick loot this crashed spaceship. Oh, I'm on the wrong side of it. Let me just suspensor belt over it. No,
Oops.
that was a terrible idea.
Yeah, I definitely was in a fight with the Kirab, and in the process of fighting them, strayed a little out into open sand. And boy, does having a shield on when you get into open sand, that's a bad idea.
Makes the worm mad.
Okay, so I have a very suspicious topic on here, and it started because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about dumb things that I have done in the past to accumulate money in video games, because they had found a glitch in Baldur's Gate 3 that recently got patched, but they stumbled onto it accidentally and actually reported the glitch. But I am curious, especially since I have been playing a lot of Guild Wars 2, where gold is very important, and also am playing Path of Exile this weekend, where currency in general is very important. What are some things that you have done purposefully in video games, past or present, that is real dumb to accumulate currency?
I mean, I guess chasing a giant naked guy around every day is kind of dumb.
It is. I lovingly refer to that as beating up a naked man for lunch money.
For anyone unaware, this is a Guild Wars 2 thing where you beat up a leyline anomaly, which is this giant glowing figure that runs across half a zone.
Yep. And it drops a mystic coin, which is good money.
But you also are going to need a bunch of them, so you better hold on to them.
And that is why the price still has not ever come down, even though they're way easier to get now.
I mean, for me, grinding repeated packs of 5 wolves.
And all of the dumbest stuff I've done in video games have not been for money.
I was about to say the dumbest thing I ever did was the Cenarian Circle rep grind.
Yes, same, except I wasn't doing the Cenarian Circle rep grind. I was doing
you were doing the Entourage grind.
The even stupider and zero rewarding thing.
Mm-hmm.
Although the quests were pretty cool.
I was about to say, so at least in defense of the Cenarian Circle grind, it was at least a varied enough grind that it was kind of interesting to do.
God, I wish that had been true.
Like, you kept killing these same sets of cultists to try and get, like, you got a little bit of rep. You would try and get robes so that you could do summoning rituals. Eventually, you could get enough materials to do bigger summoning rituals, which required a group. Periodically, there was a elite pack that spawned that had a bunch of encrypted texts on it. And you would not supposed to be soloable, but I was a rogue, so I could solo it. But yeah, it was a fun grind, I thought. And it did take me like probably 40 hours of grinding to do it.
So the two most degenerate things that I have ever done to make currency, first was in the Nintendo game Ultima Exodus, and this is as a preteen. So I stumbled onto this one entirely on my own. So that game, when you do character creation, you can create a party of 5 players at one time. But also, all of the characters are independent of each other. So I gleaned that I could create a party, transfer all the good stuff from all the characters that were just created, put it on one character, create another party.
Oh
man, all those poor abandoned fuzzies and bobbits. I feel bad for them.
Then I would kill off all the characters until I had enough wealth that I could reasonably kit out a party in decent gear before going off and adventuring. So, like,
this is why Dragon Quest III does not start you with any gear on the characters you make.
So that is degenerate number one. Degenerate thing number 2 is in EverQuest. I ran a baby enchanter all the way to Thurgaden, which is quite a haul from, I think I was a high elf enchanter, and ran it all the way to Thurgaden, which is a bunch of really terrifying runs and taking some boat trips, all so that I could craft dwarf pickles, which was something that an ogre merchant bought from you at like 1 silver profit from the materials that it took to make, because enchanters could cast a thing that would make them more favorable to merchants and get better prices. So I remember cranking out these stupid things and then selling them to a vendor for the slimmest of margin of profit, and then doing it again and doing it again. And I thought this was my get rich quick scheme, but I don't know that I ever actually made a single platinum doing this because it was so painful. Maybe made 50 gold at most.
I had a similar thing with XP, but not gold.
I wanted a lamentation. I had no money. I thought, I'll just do this. And no, I never made it. I mean, I've ground a bunch of random stuff. And in Guild Wars 2 right now, I'm doing the degenerate practice of parking alts at various treasure chests and logging them in each day. But
yeah.
So if we're talking about strictly currency, I feel like the 4-job Fiesta has some of my most ridiculous grinds. Specifically,
sure,
I have a bunch of black mages and no way to heal.
So you go kill wolves in the forest for an hour.
I go kill packs of wolves in the forest for an hour. Yes. That
until you can afford to buy the rings that let you heal with fire.
Yes. That still pales in comparison to the grind of, hey, you got red mage.
With or without blue mage?
Without blue mage.
I'm sorry. I just don't do it if I don't have blue mage.
Nope. Gotta go kill some animate statues.
This is annoyingly difficult to do in the Pixel Remaster because you can't auto-battle it.
Oh.
Whereas you can auto-battle, everything else.
Yes, because you have to use eye drops?
Gold needles.
Gold needles, right. So just buy a bunch of gold needles.
This is net positive
it's
in terms of money.
On currency, yes.
Because
Which is
these
absurd.
statues are World 3 enemies. You're not really supposed to be fighting them yet. So they're worth a lot more money than a gold needle costs you. So you can just toss a gold needle at a statue and kill it and repeat until the fight is done.
It still sounds miserable.
Yeah, don't do it.
It gives you so much AP. It's the best way to get AP, to get giant
In World
points.
2. It's the best way to
Yep.
get joint points in World 2.
Yep. And
Come
if you
World
wanna-
3, all the enemies are giving similar amounts of AP.
But I want to double cast.
You'll get it eventually.
I
Yeah, but
want to
Double cast is real good.
double cast is real good.
I mean, I would also want to grind this out.
Don't do this.
Speaking of, it is 4-job Fiesta time.
Yeah,
I've actually been behind and have not signed up yet.
haven't
I've seen
either.
it popping up all over Mastodon, so
If you're
I am
interested,
well aware.
if you're interested in 4-job Fiesta and get Black Mage, or like, what should I do? How am I going to survive? Grind wolves when you see 5 of them.
That one's not actually that bad.
It's
It is
not
repetitive
that
and
bad.
boring.
It is repetitive. Fortunately, you are a bunch of Black Mages, and those wolves will just all die.
I feel like grinding on black mages is pretty easy in general.
Oh, it's very easy.
Just nuke all the things.
This one's actually easier to do in Pixel Remaster because 1, auto battle, and 2, because they changed how the ATB system works slightly.
Mm-hmm.
You spend MP across the party evenly rather than your fastest party member spending it all at once.
So, Ash, you have been trying to catch up in Guild Wars 2?
I have been trying to catch up in Guild Wars 2. As mentioned previously, I burned out real hard trying to return to and basically stopped playing the game for an extended period of time. I still make, like, they should just do the jumping puzzle in, what's it called? I don't even care, Draconis Mons. Anyway, having returned, there are so many things to do in this game, and I am not going to run out of content anytime soon.
Nope.
But it is interesting that, with so far exactly one exception, any sort of group content I've been interested in doing is still being done.
Yep.
Like, group content in this game is pretty evergreen because they keep adding things you want to do out of it.
Like, Triple Trouble, for example, may not make every time it's available, but it's pretty certain there's going to be at least one group running at some point during a day, for example.
Probably several. It does run every 2 hours. But so, like, you might not get a group every 2 hours, but of the potential 12 that occur in a 24-hour period,
Yeah, and
I'm gonna guess
specific,
4
I'm
or 5 of them
specifically
happen.
calling that one out because that's one of the more annoying old world metas, but it's still actively being done.
Yep.
The one that surprised me, though, is Drizzlewood Coast has been kind of dead lately. And that
Is there
was
better
always...
ways to make money now?
I'm guessing there's better ways to make money now. Because,
Yep,
like,
there
it's
are.
just... It used to be you could go there any time of day, just like you can with Silver Waste and Reba, and get a group. But that one's been pretty dead. Which is sad, because, like, I really like Drizzlewood Coast.
I'm a little surprised at that because it's still the best source of a few things. Mystic Clovers, for one, although getting those from Wizard's Tower is also way easier than getting them from Davies used to be. But things like, there might not be a commander up all the time, but you can always just go do things in World versus World. I managed to do a Dragon Stand earlier today. That's still a thing that people actively do. The need for it is never going to go away unless they suddenly change how you make a bunch of different legendaries in this game and also other things. And it, like, the one exception so far has been Dragon's End, which I managed to get a group started for, but not that many people showed up and we didn't get to finish. But I suspect that there are groups for that as well, if I just catch the timing better.
Mhm.
Right. You kind of have to hit those during the prime time runs.
Yep.
And also be in zone early enough to do, like, all the pre-stuff, usually.
Yeah, there's that too. It's not one that you can really show up just at the time for the main event.
Yep. So, like, I think we had, like, 14-ish people in zone, and that's not enough.
Yeah,
No.
I know.
Yeah, like that's enough to get everything ready, but you've got to hope that more people will,
Right.
will join the map and decide to stay.
You're going to need a full squad to show up at the last minute.
But that's another one where a lot of the rewards, people still need them, although less so there. Because, like, the big reward you get for doing it once. And while amalgamated gemstones are very popular right now, let's call it, those come from all of the zone metas. So the End of Dragon ones specifically don't have a lot to recommend them otherwise.
Yeah, I imagine the price of amalgamated gemstones has probably gone up a bit.
Oh, yes.
And you're probably doing that one specifically for favor.
Yep. You can get a lot of writs and therefore a lot of favor out of it.
It's also a fun meta. Like, it's long, it's involved, but it's a fun meta.
Yeah, I, again, didn't get to see the end of it, but
I mean, probably my
It's cool.
favorite two that are End of Dragons are the Aetherblade Assault.
I have done that
and
one.
The Junkyard. Junkyard, though, kind of sucks if you don't have a sky scale.
Yeah.
Caught up to Janthier, but not very far into Janthier, and I feel like I should get a little further.
Janthier has some of my favorite zones and also some of my least favorite metas.
Oh,
I must have just been like real lucky the couple of times I've done the meta to fight the two titans, because I have not been in a failed meta for that one.
I've been in lots of failed metas for that one.
I noticed that they are moving towards a currency kind of not dissimilar from FF14, where there is stuff you get from the current expansion and stuff you get from previous expansions in terms of unusual coins and ancient coins.
Yeah.
And that feels like an interesting approach. So you still need ancient coins for stuff. You can sort of do it wherever. Of course, that does mean players will do it in the place where it is most efficient. And then seems to be rift hunting.
Rift hunting is like the correct answer for a lot of things, like especially for a lot of the dailies, just because they're so on demand. It's just super easy to get one going. And I mean, like I've never rolled up on a rift without having someone else pretty close behind me. You know, so if I start one, it's just a matter of time before I see another player show up, and I can realistically solo at least the entry level rifts.
What is rift farming useful for exactly?
So it's a really good way to get an enemy with a break bar, an elite, an event. Like there's just a really like you know, inevitably there's going to be people doing it, so you can get combos easily. You can tick off a lot of daily things just by going and running some rifts.
Well, and then what the currency you get from it is what you need to make the PvE legendary armor.
Yeah, the obsidian armor.
Got it.
The
And you need a
various
lot
rift
of that.
essences and the map currencies. And
Mm-hmm.
do you need ancient coins for obsidian armor? I don't remember.
I don't think so. Yeah,
Oh.
not specifically, but that's one of the ways. Ancient coins are one of the things that you can use to buy one of the gifts you need.
Got it.
Trying to remember, do the rifts also drop bear coins? The thing I can't pronounce. Ursus oblige.
I think they do.
I don't have an answer there.
I think the ones in Janthier, I think do.
Well, the rifts in Janthier are far easier to run than the rifts in
Sure.
Soto, just because the map, like they spawn in a smaller segment of the map. Inevitably, if I try and do a Soto rift, it's on the other end of the zone, so it's closed by the time I actually get over there. I should do bounties more often, because if you can get a full train of people doing bounties, they're kind of fun and rewarding.
Yeah.
Yes, but I don't have the magical commander tag to get people to do that.
I know, and I don't use my powers for good as often as I should. I need to teach myself the ins and outs of bounties, so I feel more confident running them.
I mean, it's mostly just
Is
go
it
to
not
the
get
place.
bounty from board, go to location, kill thing?
If it's a champion bounty, have at least 2 or 3 people. If it's a legendary bounty, have at least like 5. You'll be fine.
Yeah, but
unless
if you run
it's
a commander
it's the
tag,
Hydra on the Char Islands, the Sandswept Isles, that thing's awful.
That one is terrible.
I mean, it's a Hydra, of course it's terrible.
It's a Hydra that like summons falling stars onto you.
it is
Ugh.
the worst. Does it also have the things that suck you in too? Or is that just the wizard things that have those?
I think that's just the wizard things, yeah.
I mean, a lot of bounties get unbound magic abilities, so they could have
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's that too. It's got whatever random unbound magic. Ensuring that you can't just dodge its breath weapons and the meteors and the breath weapons from any heads that people didn't clean up.
People are not real good at cleaning up heads.
Yeah.
As a far-ranged character, I tend to do that role.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Hydra heads are like one of my favorite mechanics and also one of the most annoying mechanics. Like, I love that you lop the head off and it just kind of rolls around dealing damage to you for a while
And also
until you kill it.
And also the original monster drops a tier. I love that.
Yeah, it's the best. It's such like a chef's kiss designed for a mob. I also love sand sharks though.
I hate sand sharks.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
My least favorite Path of Fire mob.
They just crack me up. Just it's silly. Like a literal shark that swims in the sand, comes up from underneath you.
But yeah, like this is a game that's done a very good job of keeping up its population in areas that are not just the most recent. And I appreciate this for all of the catch up that I'm currently doing.
Yeah. I feel like the legendary being the key defining factor of what stays evergreen.
It's not the only thing though, because like
But there's a lot of achievements too, yeah.
I mean, I will say, when we were doing the more dedicated fractal grind and trying to get up into the ranks there, that was also just a lot of fun.
Fractals are great. Like, they are, I think, just like the ideal group content.
Yeah, they're
Really to my mind.
like
Really good bite-sized content.
really good bite-sized content and like the perfect difficulty level if we go in -1 of the intended people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've been doing fractals on Thursdays, and we were until this week doing them with 4, and it was fine. But I also don't know these terribly well, and nobody else in the party did really until this week. So it's been a learning experience.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great learning experience. Have you gotten to Fractal 25?
We did that this week.
we just did the old Fractal 25.
Or the old Fractal 25, yeah.
Shadow
That was
Observatory.
fun.
We finished the original Fractal meta story.
The original meta story. That's a really fun Fractal.
If you say so.
I enjoyed it. I mean,
It's cool.
I like 2 of the bosses.
That's
I
a
will
fair
say
assessment.
I like is 25 still Earth, Wind, and Fire?
No, that's Sunqua Peak.
Yeah, but is that still 25 right now?
I think it might be,
Okay.
but I also think it's not like 75 and 100 now. I think that's moved to Kinfall.
Oh,
Fractal I still have not done.
Then I haven't done that one either. Interesting. I really like Earth, Wind, and Fire. I cannot remember its name.
Sunqua Peak.
Actually, yeah, Sunqua Peak is 24 now. 25 is Lonely Tower.
Okay, that I have done. Well, okay, I haven't done it at 25. We just did it at 50 with 4 people.
I thought the not Maven fight was interesting in Shattered whatever. Or at least that's who she reminded me of was Maven.
The playful figure.
They're awesome.
Yes. And the only thing about that is the little balls didn't want to behave. Okay, Kodra, what is the puzzles topic?
Well, last weekend, Tam and I participated in the Microsoft PuzzleHunt with a team of a bunch of other folks. Like, it was a team, I think the intended team size was 12, and it was a lot of fun. There was like a website that they had developed, and on the website was like links to a whole bunch of different puzzles. The puzzle interface was neat in that like there was the ability to create free form notes on any of the puzzles, and like everyone could see the notes, like everyone on your team could see the other notes you were making. And like all of the puzzles, the way they worked was you had like an answer that you would, a string of words you would type in, and that would be the answer. But what I thought was very cool about these puzzles is there were like sub answers that were like along the path, and if you put those in, it would at least tell you, yes, like the word you just put in is part of this puzzle. It is not the answer, but you're on the right track.
That's good.
Yeah, it had some really good hint systems.
And yeah, like you could earn hint coins for your team and spend hint coins to unlock things. It was really fun. It was more word puzzle than logic puzzle, I would say, but it was fun, like sort of experiencing those. And also, like, having multiple brains working on a puzzle at once, like we were talking about with Lorelei and the Laser's Eyes, very fun. There was a puzzle I really enjoyed that was like, the idea was there was a circle, and around the edge of the circle were a bunch of words. And what you eventually figured out is these are all things that belong to something that is in a group of 12. And so then you have to associate those words with whatever number they belong to in that group of 12 to form a secret message. But like everyone had a different role on the team. And so everyone from the different role got to see it. And so differently. And so you had to like go through and solve this puzzle 12 different times. Just a very long, tedious puzzle that was a lot of fun. And I don't know, like I have never done the MIT PuzzleHunt, so I don't know how to like compare this. But in this puzzle, like I was solving things. I was like putting down guesses for what an answer could be, and that answer was frequently correct. And I understand that that might not necessarily, like, it might be of a difficulty level with the MIT PuzzleHunt where that's less true.
Mystery Hunt it's built for teams of arbitrarily large sizes. I don't know if that's still true.
It definitely is, because they allow remote participants at this point.
Oh wow. Yeah, and like as a result, like Mystery Hunt teams are like successful Mystery Hunt teams are 150, 200 people. And that number may be even higher than it used to be. I don't know.
I have no idea.
But like I would usually have some crucial part of solving 3 to 5 puzzles over the weekend at Mystery Hunt. But like there was almost never a Mystery Hunt puzzle that I could just totally solo solve myself. Whereas this was definitely tuned for a smaller group, and thus puzzles were a lot more possible to do that, to solve or do like the majority of work solving a puzzle in a relatively small group. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like it's a stark difference from Mystery Hunt in my experience. It was a really, really slick interface. It is underselling it to say they stood up a website for it. They stood up a website that had like a whole bunch of drawing tools built into it, so that you could, it's like a mini version of MS Paint built into it, so that you could just you could very feasibly solve entirely from on the actual puzzle itself.
Yes.
And it saved it per person. There's just some really slick.
And there were like a bunch. It was decent production value. Like they would have videos for you to like watch about some of the puzzles. It's clear that there is like, this is a company. The PuzzleCorp is the company that made this, I guess. And it's clear that they've been doing this for a while. Like, if you get a chance to do a PuzzleCorp puzzle hunt, I recommend it.
Is PuzzleCorp like? I thought that was the shell theme.
You might be right. Like, it says sponsored by PuzzleCorp.
You don't know if that's a real company or if that's a fake name.
I guess what I mean is that if you Google PuzzleCorp, it is the only solid hits you get are this puzzle hunt. I'm pretty sure that it's the like fictional, the fictional like space flight company that you're a ostensible part of for this puzzle hunt.
I guess that is a reasonable statement. But a lot of the puzzles are like, I think the puzzles are still available, and they might be becoming publicly available, which would allow other people to solve them.
I mean, if you are very curious about puzzles, this does happen in the Mystery Hunt puzzles at the conclusion of the Mystery Hunt.
It's true.
But mostly what I have taken away is I need to get into like more cryptic crossword puzzles. Because I am not good at those. It is a lot of the word puzzles are skills that I am not as nearly as good at. and maybe I should start learning how to do crosswords if I want to keep with it.
Yeah, most of the puzzles that I do for fun are word games, and so there's definitely
I play Connections periodically, and I find that enjoyable.
Yeah, like I used to do a lot of cryptic crosswords. I like, Connections is pretty good.
I do like Connections.
There's a variety of. I've never gotten much into the like, hey, this is secretly a math equation. Figure out the math equation and then solve it. Or hey, this is a long and confusing chain of logic puzzles, of like logic hints. Figure out how to hold all of these in your head at once and rationalize them into the one possible solution. Like, they're not really my thing, but like word games, yes.
Yeah, clearly, like I am a Sudoku type person, so I am absolutely interested in stuff like that.
One of the perennially funny to me things is the difference between the way Kodra and I solve puzzles. I don't feel like I owe the puzzle anything. I will vibes my way to an answer. That's my preferred method.
I like to try and solve a puzzle by like following a logical path. This is
And,
definitely because I got into puzzles like through Cracking the Cryptic, which very much does that.
Yeah, like I actually like I have done cryptic crosswords, but I actually sort of feel like they feel to me like trying to turn a word game into a Sudoku, and I feel like that's missing the like essential joy of word games. But they are still fun. But yeah, there was more than one occasion where I would be like, oh, I'm pretty sure the answer is this. And
but I can't tell you why the answer is this, other than I've eliminated the other options.
Right. Well, more so then I would type it in. I would be typing it in, and Kodra would be like, have you thought it through? Do you know? I'm like, I don't care. I'm just going to put the answer in, and if it tells me it's wrong, then I'll move on to the next next thing. It's not going to punish me for being wrong.
You were playing the 6 portal defense of puzzle games.
Yes.
I will point out the not a nonogram word that was all synopsises from movies. You tried to do that and ultimately were like, okay, this is too much math, and I had to go jump in, which did work mostly because yes, that was a puzzle that fit my brain well.
Yeah, every so often I'm just like, can't vibe hard enough for this.
It is also interesting, like, and now I kind of understand the lingo, but the idea of I have solved this puzzle, but now I have to extract the answer.
Yes.
That's big for Mystery Hunt.
That is absolutely taken from Mystery Hunt, and it's actually some of my favorite types of puzzles to solve, where it's like, oh, hey, yes, you figured out the rules, but can you figure out how to...
And also, I have figured out all of the puzzle here before me. Now, how do I take this and turn it into a word that I can insert into this box? It's a very interesting challenge. I will say, we never did figure out what to do with the puzzle that spelled out in Morse code view Audacity spectrograms.
I'm still a little sad about that one.
I am a little bit sad about it. Also, your poor dog.
My dog was really sad about that puzzle.
Turns out there are sounds beyond the human's ability to hear them, and that's where you can hide images.
Oh no.
So Friday was the launch of a new Path of Exile league, the first league in over 300 days.
Oof.
It's had problems from I don't know if it is a purely server infrastructure or if it is something in the patch, but there's been a lot of disconnects, and there were huge swaths of people that could not play for like the first hour and a half, but things have mostly stabilized. I don't know when console players actually got in, but it was probably, I don't know, 6 to 8 hours after the PC crowd launched. and there was still an issue that they were dealing with on the consoles this morning. So it has been an exceptionally rough league start, but mercenaries are brilliant. So like that's the big thing that this league brings. So, well, there's a bunch of in-game changes where they're adding 4 new pinnacle bosses and some changes to the in-game atlas. And I've not gotten to any of that yet. But the other component, anytime they do an in-game update, they also have a traditional league mechanic that's going on. And Mercenaries of Trarthus is the league mechanic this time, where in zones you can find mercenaries. And they are essentially like rogue exiles. And when you encounter one, you have a bunch of options on what you can do. You can hire them, and they will fight beside you. They do not level up. They are stuck at whatever level you get them. So, and you can have 3 mercenaries at a time to flip back and forth between. So in theory, you're going to be cycling through them as you find better versions. All of the mercenaries have an archetype, which means they're going to use, so you can see the name of the archetype, and it means, okay, well, that one's going to use Flame Blast, and also maybe, have anger or, auras and things like that. So like they're going to have fixed stuff that they do based on the name of the archetype of the mercenary. So you can hire them. They're really cool. They can be very powerful. And that's usually the level at which most of these games stop with mercenaries, where they are a utility that you can add to your single player grouping experience, where they either give you some kind of buffs or are just additional damage that can be dished out. But mercenaries here also have a mechanic where you can steal items from the mercenary and challenge them to the fight. And this has become a phenomenal gearing mechanism because they have really well-rolled gear as though they were a player of the archetype that they are. So like
so
I'm running
you actually want to use rather than
yes,
just random gear that drops on the ground.
Yes. And they may not have a lot of these pieces, but so early on they're mostly wearing, blues, and then they start wearing rares, and some of them are wearing uniques. So like you can rip a unique off of them. Once you've hired a mercenary, you can't remove any of the gear that they came with, but you can add gear to them as much as you want, and you can also remove anything that you give them yourself. So you can continue to improve the mercenary, which has made it interesting where I now care about drops that are not necessarily of the character that I'm building. So like I am running a Ice Shot Ranger archetype as my secondary character. So it is, it's giving me Grace Aura, which I do not care about. But that just comes baked in with it. And it's doing like, ice rain type attacks and, shotgunning across the screen and freezing things while I essentially tank for them. However, if you don't want to be the tank for your mercenaries, there are absolutely super tanky mercenaries that you can get that will just tank all the mobs for you. But really it's the gearing aspect that's interesting, and it causes you to have these interesting choices. So not only can you steal gear from them, but they also have a rucksack full of currency. And so like every time you fight one, you have to figure out, okay, do I want to hire them and then use them from this point on? Or do I want to grab an item because a lot of these items look pretty tasty? Or do I want to go for the currency that they've got? Because they might have a couple chaos. Like I took one out earlier that had a couple chaos that I might have hired as a mercenary, But like right now, I need that chaos to buy the couple of uniques that I actually need. So it's like, it's really interesting. And like, they can be kind of brutal. I've had one shot me. A lot of the players are saying, like, of all the deaths that they've had, most of them have been up against mercenaries because they play like a player. Like, so it's not as bad as the quote unquote PvP map, but it's definitely more challenging than your average encounter. But you know, once you have one, you know, your mercenary will fight other mercenaries. So
They don't make you do that 1-on-1?
no, they don't make you do that at 1-on-1. So
Okay,
it's,
that's funny, actually.
it's you and your mercenary against the other mercenary. But what makes this really brilliant is just the, you know, gear acquisition option is so good. Like most of the gear that I'm wearing, I've pulled off of mercenaries. And, you know, a lot of the times between, like, the sockets are all wrong, but sockets are something that can usually be fixed pretty easily, at least for anything that is not a 6-socket item, because they're not beholden to actually needing to wear sockets that make any sense to use their abilities. But you know, like I said, the gear that comes off of them is a lot of times is like T1 rolls. I've encountered, especially with like resistances, I've seen a lot of items on or these mercenaries that have T1 resist rolls. So now that I'm nearing the end of the campaign and would normally care a lot about, you know, resistances, you would be able to farm resist gear off of these minions or these mercenaries pretty easily. I am deeply impressed with the system so far. Like on some level, I would love to see this go live into standard, just because, you know,
it's a new way to get you to care about randomly generated gear.
Right, exactly. Like it is well rolled randomly generated gear, which is going to make, you know, gearing anything so much easier. But like I've also pulled some uniques that I needed. Like I got an immortal flesh off of a mercenary, which is a thing I was going to buy anyway. I have unfortunately not found of Cloak of Flames, but I have heard people pulling Cloak of Flames off of them. So maybe eventually.
I'm
gonna laugh the first time some mercenary is a mage blood and one-shot somebody.
I would not be surprised if that is a thing. I'm interested to see what this is like once I actually get into maps, because the thing is they count as a partial human being. So loot is scaling when you're running with a mercenary, but difficulty is also scaling. And a lot of the boss encounters are very noticeable that, you know, it's a little bit, you know, more tanky. It's got some more hit points. So things definitely die faster once my mercenary has died. But now I'm kind of shopping for, like, I think my mercenary is level 34 and it is surviving perfectly fine in a 55 zone. But I know at some point I will need to upgrade the same archetype. So I am shopping for another bow character to follow me around. But like if there's specific auras that you need for your build, there's a mercenary archetype that pretty much runs every aura. So you can just drag them along with you. I had one that was giving me determination for a while. So it'd be very interesting to see what the min-max version of this looks like, especially since there's a lot of, you know, Animate Guardian type gear that people were already using on Animate Guardian to, you know, give themselves additional buffs that would totally be in play for mercenaries. The summoner minion is interesting because it has both zombies of gigantism and falling zombies. So it has a gigantic tank zombie that it runs around with while dropping zombies on heads.
Did they ever find a way to make falling zombies actually good?
I don't know, but this mercenary certainly does seem to think it is.
Well,
it's
sure.
really effective.
I mean for players, because like I know people were talking about experimenting with it when it first launched, and most of the things people wanted to do didn't work.
I think there's a Korean Path of Exile player that did like cast on channeling cyclone falling zombies something or other, which was hilarious and
Okay, that's
also
funny.
extremely effective. So I'm pretty sure there's a build there. It's just not a meta build. It cracks me up that Volcanic Fissure of Snaking is the meta build of this league.
It did not get buffed since last league. Although people have had a year to figure out that it's good, I suppose.
Well, yeah, I mean, but like all of the lightning strike nonsense they were doing got 3 or 4 different passes at nerfing it. So
That's fair.
I guess it is now the thing. Kind of like Molten Strike of Zenith was the thing last go round.
Maybe I should play a slam. Maybe I should come back and play a slam build before it gets nerfed to the ground and goes away forever.
All the slam builds are real strong. They involve you having to hit a bunch of war cries, but they're real strong.
Or not. Auto exert is a thing. People running 6-link auto exerts was a thing last league.
Yeah.
You do have to have the reservation for that, but whatever.
I mean, you're on a side of the tree with some good reservation efficiency nodes. I never would have thought to play Slayer slams until that video you linked.
Really? Because Ground Slam Slayer's been a thing since, that's been a quietly humming around in the background build since I've been paying attention.
I mean, it makes sense with all the Overleach nonsense. I mean, because that's essentially why Bone Shatter Slayer works so well, isn't it? Because of all the Overleach?
Yeah. Slayer benefits a lot from dealing physical damage.
I'm interested to see what the in-game stuff feels like. There's been a lot of hardcore rips on some of the new encounters.
Yay.
I mean, it's hardcore. That's
Yep.
These things happen.
Yeah, I mean, brand new Pinnacle bosses are going to have rips until people figure them out.
I don't know why you would figure them out on a hardcore, but that's just to each their own, I suppose.
I don't understand the playing on hardcore bit in the first place.
Some people need the extra amount of risk to stay invested.
They're dead inside and need to hurt themselves to feel anything.
I didn't say that.
Anyway, hopefully the servers stabilize. I've heard it's especially bad for European players who are now playing on US servers to try and deal with that. What is Be My Horde?
So this is a game that somebody made especially for me. So lately I've been playing a bunch of whatever you want to call them, bullet heaven survivors, like whatever we're gonna call this genre. And this one came across my feed and I was curious, and it is completely my jam. So the whole thing is just you are serving the Necromancer Moriana, and you hop on the map, you raise a couple of undead minions, and then those minions kill things, and when you kill things, you raise them, and you just end up with a giant swarm of undead minions rolling around the map, murdering all the things. It's that's it. That's the game. Things keep coming at you. You kill them, and then you raise them, and they become part of your army. And it's got the little bit of a roguelite kind of thing going, where every run you're gonna be getting different abilities or spells as you level up. And when you finish your run, you can go back and unlock some additional perks that help you get further. But really, it's all about that player fantasy of I am raising a ridiculous undead army. And it's I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about sort of the theming of things, but actually it's fine. It's got some character. It's still early access, so there's not exactly like very involved story or anything happening there, but there is a little bit, and it's got some character, and there's sort of two main levels right now, and each of them has a boss, and the bosses are interesting. Not the second one is a little more mechanically interesting, but just as sort of characters, they're silly. And that's the other thing, is that it leans more on the silly side. So I appreciate that for a game where you're just murdering tons of things and raising them from the dead to serve you. It helps that it's being a little silly about it. But I think it was about $5. It has been well worth it for that. If you like this genre of game and you also like controlling swarms of minions, it's probably worth checking out. It's not gonna be anything earth-shattering, but it has certainly been just a very pleasant distraction, and I am not remotely finished with it yet. I've beat the normal versions of the 2 levels, but I have not remotely beaten either of the hard versions yet.
So I hear Deltarune is actually legitimately out now.
At least 4
the next 2
chapters.
Chapters 3 and 4 are out, and also this means you can actually buy Deltarune as a game.
I can pay money for it.
You
I
can
was
pay
about
money
to ask.
Toby Fox.
I was about
for
to ask if Toby
Deltarune
Fox
now.
was accepting money now, so that's good.
Which, to be clear, there was quite a lot of game previously
Yep.
that you could play without spending any money, and that still remains true. But now there is roughly that amount of game again you can pay money for. Chapters, like, I am now through chapters 3 and 4. Much like 1 and 2, I did not find every single possible secret or anything, and as such, I have only beaten one of the optional super boss annoying things. I just did not find most of the others, with one exception that would be a spoiler to go into more detail on.
I was about to say, I have been at least somewhat spoiled on things. Did you do the evil run of chapter 2?
No, I did not.
Okay.
And you're a bad person if you do.
I mean, sure, the game. This is Toby Fox game. If you're doing the evil run, you're a bad person, and it's going to make you feel bad.
As well it should. What you're here for, right?
Because you're going to play it that way, sure.
I mean,
So a bit on structure there. Chapter 2 is really where you can start to just be a terrible person. Chapter 3 largely does not acknowledge whether or not you were a terrible person, but Chapter 4 brings it back in a huge way. But if you aren't a terrible person, Chapters 3 and 4 are really interesting. They have wildly different themes, which is not a thing I was really anticipating, but I guess that's just how it works. And I'm trying to figure out what I can say without like spoilers stuff. These did just come out, even though 1 and 2 have been out for forever.
Is this like, I haven't actually played 2.
You should play 2. It's been out for forever.
Well, yeah, but I was kind of waiting for more game to be out.
If you're waiting for the whole game to be out, you're going to be waiting until next year.
Next year is when the whole game is out?
That's what it says at the end of chapter 4.
Yeah, next year's when it's supposed to be out.
And then is it how many chapters in total are they saying?
The chapter select that will release to chapter 2, and that has not yet been changed, says that there are 7 total chapters.
Okay.
Do I trust this? No. But that's what it says.
But yeah, I think I'm probably going, like, I didn't want to play 2. I think I'm going to go back and replay 1 now and play through the whole thing.
I've been a little tempted since I do know a lot more about it now than I did when I played 1 originally.
Well, that's the thing, is I kind of forgot what happened in 1, and so I was like, I need to replay 1.
Then yeah, you should replay 1.
I remember something about a not sans ace of spades.
You're giving Lancer way too much credit.
Listen, it's like, oh, this is kind of the same shape as a sans. It's got an ace of spades. Interesting.
Way too much credit. Sans is, after all, in this game, just not very relevant.
Yeah, just not very relevant.
But yeah, I had a lot of fun. The writing definitely keeps up.
That's good.
that's pretty cool.
And I very much look forward to next year seeing the remaining chapters, however many of them there ends up being.
Now, what did you play this on Steam?
I played it on Switch.
You played it on Switch. Okay. I guess this is not exactly a game that's probably going to be better on a Switch too.
So about that, there
Mhm.
is a Switch 2 unique boss.
Hilarious.
Every other platform just handles it differently. I don't know. Toby Fox is weird.
I mean,
There's
yes.
a Switch unique boss too in Undertale, in the original Undertale.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
I did not realize that. Clearly, I should get Undertale for the Switch and check that out.
Same, I guess.
Like, the nice thing is, it's not like it's a bad game to play with a kid.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say my kid would probably be into it.
That's probably a show, unless anybody has anything short that they want to mention.
I guess just real quick on the subject of things my kid is into. Phineas and Ferb holds up real well.
Phineas and Ferb is great.
I never watched it when it was like originally on the air, but there's new seasons coming out now, and
What?
yeah, they're doing 2 new seasons. The first one dropped like they started airing the first season 5 last week.
Where can you stream Phineas and Ferb?
Disney Plus.
Imagine it's just, yeah.
Interesting.
But
I was going to say, yeah, go ahead.
So while we were on vacation, we were in the hotel room, turn on the TV, find something to watch. Well, the only kids channel really that was on there was Disney XD, and they were running a Phineas and Ferb marathon because of the new season coming soon. And so my son watched some Phineas and Ferb, and then when we got home, he proceeded to just watch all the Phineas and Ferb. This has been his thing this past week.
Several years ago, we were visiting some friends, and their youngest at the time was super into it. So I watched a lot of it. I got hooked.
It's very entertaining. But yeah, I never watched it when it was originally on, but I've seen a good bit of it now, and yeah, no, it's good.
Is Disney XD going to start making animation again? What?
I mean, they apparently have been. I mean, Povenmire's been doing other stuff like between Phineas and Ferb and now, because there was that Hamster and Gretel show that he was show running that I don't know if it's still going or not. So they've been making stuff.
I hadn't heard of anything after Owl House that was like hitting the zeitgeist out of that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's been anything like as popular as Owl House was, but yeah.
Speaking of Disney XD, we've been watching our way through Gravity Falls for the first time.
We saw Gravity Falls on the other shows you might enjoy, and I mentioned to my son, it's like, oh, Gravity Falls, that's a fun show. He's like, yeah, it's a weird show. It's like, yes, it is.
Yep,
that is the point.
So I might see if he wants to check that out.
I guess in the show department, Murderbot the series is pretty good.
Yeah,
I have mixed feelings about certain aspects of it, but it's pretty true to the first book.
I mean, there's always going to be things that get changed, and I know Martha Wells has pointed out that one of the reasons for changes is the stories are entirely from Murderbot's point of view, and maybe Murderbot isn't an entirely reliable narrator. So for a show, we're actually seeing these characters ourselves, and they need a little bit more fleshing out.
Yeah, and not to go into much detail, but I feel like they 100% nailed the Preservation Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of iffy on Murderbot's casting.
Yeah,
I get that. It could just be my bias sees that person as a vampire.
Right. I mean, certainly my immediate reaction was really, but I think it was mostly that's not how I pictured Murderbot in my head reading the stories. But
it's perfectly cromulent.
That's always going to be a thing.
Adequate acting job. Just it's a bit of a disconnect, but it's good. I mean, so if you have the chance, you should absolutely watch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess that's a show. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if we will hopefully see you back next week. Goodbye.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.
See you.